That's a really good question. And I think it kind of comes down to like what kind of a project you're actually doing, right? Because like there are some projects where like you don't necessarily want to be like the ones driving the edge forward, I guess. But in a situation where let's take like machine learning and AI, which is like the big buzzword right now. I
Mhm.
do think that there's probably going to be about like a 50-50 split between like the systems integrator and the customer. Because like on one point, like the systems integrator is not going to go forward with like a new piece of technology unless we're like being asked to do it. Partially because there's like risk associated with that, right? Like we still have to be able to meet our project deadlines. And with a new technology like that, like there's so many unknowns that like it's really hard to be able to like commit to that promise unless the customer is saying this is something we absolutely want. Like we're going to, give you a flexible budget to be able to do that. So especially between like systems integrator and customer end user, I think it's going to have to be more of a 50-50 split before we could really see some of this stuff take off, just because of the risk associated with like, pulling up this new technology that arguably not a lot of people, especially in the automation world, have ever touched before.
I'd like to get you to weigh in on this, and because I would imagine you might have a bit of a different perspective, and I feel like I've got a bit of a different perspective as well.
I was gonna say I think it really depends on company size as well, because I think few organizations would have, as Addison mentioned, the budget to run R&D projects, right? I think at least like from my experience, smaller organizations will only adopt whatever is giving them direct ROI, and they can say like this is, a machine that's gonna pay itself, let's say in 2 years or even less. Then we're able to make that investment. A large manufacturer, and again, there's a couple of R&D centers that I know of are looking into just purely we're going to put some money aside. We're going to try and look into, like, again, I've seen even drones being tested within a factory to see if that would be feasible, right? So something as outlandish as that, but it's, they have the funds to sort of investigate it in order to be maybe the early or the first adopters of such technologies. But I think it's far and few in between, at least based on my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that I think, especially for like very forward looking technologies such as artificial intelligence and machine learning, I think the vast majority of that is going to be like very OEM vendor specific, right? I think that we need the Siemens and the Rockwells and the Googles and the AWSs and the Azures of the world to go prove to us that we can go kind of take these machine learning models, reasonably push them up to the cloud and create some sort of additional value. So I think on that, we are still in the infancy stages of like what actual applications work. And then somewhere between the C-suite, the boardroom of, hey, we'd like to use this technology, and down on the plant floor where nothing is networked and everything is 30 years old. There are kind of different stories that comes to that. I would say, I guess, in my opinion, I think that we certainly talk about forward-looking companies in the manufacturing space and some of what they have done. And I think that we certainly see forward-looking systems integrators and other companies of like that go receive accolades and have write-ups and things like that of really interesting projects, some of which are like awesome applications of technology that directly affect the bottom line. Others of which are maybe not the most directly affect the bottom line, but it's like, hey, we did this thing. Let's go find some reasons to go ahead and let's go find some reasons to go ahead and find more opportunities to go ahead and use technologies like that.